Welcome to BackWords. I'm Dr. Dan Francis. Thanks for joining us tonight. We're here tonight. Our show is going to be with three main folks of Plymouth Community Education. And at BackWords, our goal is to try to promote health and wellness. And I have worked with the Plymouth Community Ed a couple of times in doing some of their classes, and I find them to be an extraordinary group of people that has a great mission. And part of that, I think it's important that we give them a venue to explain what they do and to talk about the different types of programs they're promoting in our community, because I think it is at the forefront of promoting the health and wellness that our objective is. So in that, I'm going to introduce our panel here tonight. It's Jessica Mella, Clayton Moore, and Kathy Murray. And with that, why don't we start, maybe Kathy, with you, could talk a little bit about your position and how long you've been with Community Ed, and go from there.
Well, my position is I am the Director of Community Education and Recreation, and I have been in that position now for 7.5 years. I took over from Chris Schumacher, who created an incredible foundation with Marv Paulson, who was there prior to Chris. But what we've done is, Community Ed does a lot of things within the district, but ultimately our goal is the taxpayers own these buildings, and we want them to be utilized to the fullest. So our goal is to get as many people into our schools as possible, and to fill up those rooms and our facilities as much as possible before and after school hours and on the weekends. And again, we do a lot of different programs and activities for the district, facility management, the calendar, some of those. But I think this evening we're obviously focusing more on our classes. The goal of Community Ed classes is it's to utilize the talents and the expertise that's within our community. It's almost, ideally it would be a bartering system where it would be, okay, I come to you, Dan, and you crack my back, or and I provide something back in return. But and that's kind of the gist of the program. It's just to share within the community, to educate each other, and that's what we do. We come up with classes and ideas and.
So programs. How do you come up with the classes? Give me, how do you find your instructors? What are you deciding on curriculum?
Mm-hmm. Well, we use social media. Certainly, Pinterest has been a great help in the last few years to just take a look at that. We have resources. There's a state organization, Wisconsin Community Education Association. So that group meets a few times a year. We also have a regional group that Clayton recently went to that meeting, and we'll have Jess come as well. And so you get ideas from others in the field and look at those classes. But we also do evaluations at the end of all of our classes. And I when I introduce a class and when I bump into people in the hall and talk to people, I often say this, and it is, our strength is in our community and fulfilling the needs of the people in our community. So when our participants come back and say, hey, I'd like you to try this, my line has been the same for the last few years. As long as it's legal and it's something that's of interest to people, we will and we can find an instructor,
sure,
we will probably run a class. So a lot of our ideas on what to do come from the folks within this community, come from us also being out there and talking to people, and that's our goal, to be out in the community as much as possible, to be visible, to be approachable, so people just come and say, hey, how about this?
So these classes, if I come up with a class and wanted to present it,
mm-hmm.
if it doesn't have much of a turnout, would you do it again, or do you look at the turnout? Do you look at what factors are you looking at when you're evaluating it?
Well, initially, we will run what we will call a trial class or a pilot class the first time through. Generally, when that happens, if you would approach me, we would often say, okay, we have a form that you basically complete, kind of describing the class so that we're ready to write a description for it, to get an idea on you as an instructor, what your plans are, how many times it should meet, things like that. And then say, what are you expecting to get paid here? Generally, our first-time classes, we try to make less expensive, just to see what the interest is like and go from there. And yes, we do sometimes run it again if it isn't as successful, because sometimes it's the time of the year just isn't right.
Yeah.
Sometimes there's competition with some of our other classes. We try to stay away from that, but yeah, so we would try it again.
So when you're talking like price of the classes, is community ed self-sustaining?
Well, for the most part, we are. There is a tax levy that comes to community ed, which is $200,000 a year that comes out of the tax roll. And it's been that for the last 4 years, I believe, for sure. And in this recent state budget, the state froze our levy at $200,000. So, with that said, our annual budget is just over $800,000 a year. So $200,000 comes in from taxes, and we know we have to, through fees, program costs, we have to bring in about $600,000 a year.
Yeah, that's a good chunk of change.
Yeah, it is.
So you're obviously offering something that people are attracted to.
Yes.
So
yeah.
Now, you have some cooperation with other schools, correct? Is there something going on with LTC?
Yes.
Can you explain that?
Yes. I also coordinate classes for LTC, actually in Plymouth and in the Kiel area. So there, so many entities want to do community ed now, which is great. I mean, we want more and more of that. I mean, certainly the sort of classes that you do, Dan, and that UW-Sheboygan does community ed classes. But when the new facility was remodeled on our end of the school building, LTC was doing classes, but it was just an opportunity to provide more opportunities in our area. So I coordinate those classes as well for LTC. And there's some classes that just work better with LTC. Things that go back to job placement and that can kind of increase your career opportunities. That's something that's better with LTC, just in the way they get funding from the state. So most of the computer classes that we do are through LTC, taught by our high school teachers, who most of our classes are taught by our high school teachers.
So this can go to any one of you. Is there a core group that you're sort of targeting with the things that aren't a cooperative like that, but just your Plymouth Community Ed? Is there a group that you're looking at, or is it sort of broad spectrum, cradle to the grave type?
I think we've decided as a group to kind of focus on different groups each year, and this year, and for me personally too, young families have become more of a target for me, as well as some of the other classes that are focused. Just because they tend to be a group of people that we've found have a harder time making it to classes in the evening because they have young families, and obviously their time is full, working all day as well. So trying to target the younger parents and trying to, for me, try to go where they are already going.
Sure.
And so that's one of my missions.
And draw them in.
Yeah.
Draw them in.
Yeah.
Clayton,
Fitness is
go ahead.
Fitness is a little bit more adult through.
And are you in charge of the fitness end of the spectrum?
Yes.
Because you're sort of divvied up into nutrition and wellness, fitness, aquatics, recreation.
Right.
So there's different segments. I mean, the website is phenomenal about how much information on the classes and what's out there. So talk a little bit about fitness.
Well, we have one of the goals of our fitness classes going forward now are to kind of utilize some of the classes, for example, that the core class that you've done with us before, is to try and create a class that has a progression to it. So, for example, we're hoping to add to our weekly core class after your lecture. So we have something to create a foundation and then progress with it. Another example is our
So the people are coming back week by week?
Yep, they come back week by week, and then they can go to the next level.
They're guided through. They're doing these exercises where I pretty much did a little.
You're going to give them the seminar, give them some, do your thing, and then our hope is to utilize some of those tools and have it guided in our weekly. It's actually twice a week class for 10, 11 weeks after. Another class is the boot camp class we do, which is just a kind of the muscle confusion type
Sure.
system. And we've done that boot camp for so long, and it's been very successful, and we've now increased it to a boot camp 2. So there's a next progression. So it's not starting from scratch each time, it goes to the next level.
What kind of participation do you get in something like that?
Our boot camp class and our boot camp class 2 classes were at roughly 20 to 25
That's fabulous.
people per class.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
those are
fabulous.
very successful, and we get to points where we get close to having to cut it off for space reasons, but those are good problems
Those are
to
good
have.
problems to have.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we've got a whole gamut of muscle confusion classes and cycling classes, and we have the aquatic classes.
A lot of elderly use those aquatic classes.
Absolutely.
And,
Yeah, they're
and that's
great-
fabulous.
Great
'cause
tool to have.
One of the keys to wellness is to make sure that you're moving.
Right.
And that's what I love about the fitness classes is they're really focusing on getting some kind of movement.
Right.
And some of these elderly, especially in the winter time, that's all they're getting, especially in a winter like we had in Plymouth this year.
Right.
So getting that body moving is just key to their well-being
Absolutely.
and their arthritis and whatnot. But with the fitness classes, do you see people sign up for that year after year? Are they
Yeah.
using that like a exercise facility, if you will?
I would say yes. At least half are repeat customers, regular repeat customers each year through all the 4 sessions that we do now, spring, summer, winter, and fall. We get some that are come and go depending on season, but I would say at least half are.
Do you find there are people who just can't finish the class, or they can you walk them through it, guide them through it, so they're doing fine with the intensity of it, or
Sure. One of the things that I try to instill in our instructors, or one of my philosophies, is make sure that there's an alternative. If you're going to do a boot camp class that has an activity that's extremely difficult or advanced, make sure that there's an activity that the beginner can use, or
okay.
somewhere to start so that you can progress within the class. And all of our classes do that, with some exceptions. We have advanced cycling class, which is a biking class which follows by its name. It's advanced and it's hardcore, and
Is that on spinners, or
Yep.
is that outside?
it's on spinners. And that's typically a late fall winter course.
Good. Well, we're going to take a short break. When we come back, we're going to continue this discussion on fitness, and then we're going to delve into the nutrition and wellness end of this. But I can see that this is going to be a short show for all the stuff we have to talk about, but it's really to wet their whistle, and so we'll be right back. We're talking back, and we are talking fish oil. Why fish oil for the back? Because many people say, how can I help inflammation? And if there's one way to stop inflammation that's natural, fish oil is it. And fish oil has omega-3 fatty acids in it that are very helpful in the inflammatory process. And somebody with spine pain often has inflammation. It's great for your cardiovascular system. It's a wonderful nutrient. It's a supplement in your diet. But if you can keep your inflammation down, oftentimes you can keep checks on your back pain and really reduce how much medicine you have to take. And if you can do that, you reduce side effects. Of course, you have to not be allergic to fish oil, and it's a great supplement for multiple aspects of the body. We'll be right back. Welcome back to BackWords. We're going to continue our discussion with Plymouth Community Ed, and right now we're going to talk a little bit about going outside the box a little bit. A couple years ago, Plymouth received, I think, a grant. I'm not sure if I'm in the know right here, but I've used it a couple of times, and it's the ropes course. The ropes course is phenomenal. You can rent it as a member of the community, and got a high ropes course, a low ropes course, and we've used it with our Catholic youth group in building team awareness and building confidence and camaraderie. And I'm going to have Clayton talk a little bit about that and what that is like in their community? And
Yeah, it's a fantastic tool that we have, and I truly do enjoy every moment on there. This spring we have a ropes course planned. We also call it Adventure Club at times, but this one will be for ages 7 and up, and we already have some families that have registered, and it is, believe it or not, it's for ages 7 and up. I've had my 7-year-old on that thing, and
they're like monkeys.
They are like monkeys. They have no fear, most of them.
And we've had grandmas on there.
We've had grandmas as well, and at the same time, and it's really fun to watch. You can see the full range of emotion in a second or less when they go off the zip line for the first time. They're shaken, terrified, and then they're screaming for joy right after that. And so there's a, like you said, there's a lot of different avenues to it. We have a basic climbing wall, which is a good start for the high ropes part. We do have the low ropes, which we use a little bit for team building, confidence building kind of thing. We have a moderate climbing wall as well, and then we have a whole gamut of different high ropes things, and we are offering one in the spring, and it's a lot of fun. There's a number of the teachers at the high school are certified as well, and
so they just get certified, and then when you book something, they're going to show up, and depending on how many people you have, they're going to have that many instructors so that they can facilitate the
It definitely
activities.
is something that more staff that I can have there, the faster it will go and the more opportunity people will have. And that's what we try and plan right now. Right now it's myself and Mr. Biller will be helping me in the spring. Mr. Lechner and Mr. Knaus and Ms. Grit and Ms. Schleiss are all certified instructors that we try to get out there. And we also do some of the PE classes we'll utilize as well, yep.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think it's one of those things, again, it's outside the box.
It's great.
And it really gets people sort of tied in. It's a thrill. It is, and it's a defining moment for a lot of the kids who use that. They break through some confidence barriers.
Absolutely.
So that's part of the whole health and wellness, the mind, body, and spirit, too.
Right.
When you can break outside of that, that's phenomenal.
Absolutely.
Well, and while it's fitness related, it's certainly very much about teamwork and trust and working together, and and that's a great opportunity for all ages. And I think it is really interesting that this spring we have more of a range, like we've had parents and their kids register, which I think is wonderful because it just makes it more interesting.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I truly commend you on in your fitness activities, is that you're building a group of people together. Because when I'm trying to facilitate them to exercise and to be part of their wellness, one of the things they do is they'll do one thing and they'll get sick of it, or they won't have anybody to spur them on and cheer for them. And when you're in a class, it makes it a lot easier. And if you're doing just one thing, it gets a lot more difficult to stick with it. And your broad range of opportunities, from aquatics to bikes to boot camp to a climbing wall these brochures are loaded with different opportunities. That gives people that spectrum, and all at a really, really reasonable cost. It's not going to be that determines whether they want to participate or not. So I think that's great.
Yeah. And the people that are motivating them are their neighbors. It's people from here. So
I've had people who come to a class because they've heard, they liked what their neighbor said about it, and that's nice. It makes you want to do the class again. It means it was being taken and put to use.
Right.
So, and I think that's everything I hear. There's plug and play. I know you've got a composting class. I think that's health and wellness, because you're growing your own food. You're doing your own thing. And I saw that this year. Pesky's offering a gluten-free class.
Yes.
So talk about some of the nutritional offerings.
Yeah, Mary Pesky, she's offering a gluten-free eating class. We've been talking about it for about a year, and timing-wise hadn't worked out, but it has been something that the community has wanted. So I've tried to reach out to her because she is an expert in that field as well as a gluten-free eater herself. So we're real excited to have her do that. I hope it will be a hit, but
And the gluten, for those of you who aren't aware, what gluten is, it's a protein in the wheat plant that is been genetically modified to be more and more in wheat, and it's what celiac disease is. A lot of people are allergic to it, and it's what provides the stretchy feel and doughy feel of bread, so it's become more and more modified in there. But it's one of those examples where people are getting more and more sensitive to it, and there's a lot of people going gluten-free. So you're staying with the trend there and offering people, because it's one of those things when, if you're a parent and your kid all of a sudden is sensitive to gluten, wow, your world changes.
Yeah.
Go without wheat for a week, and you'll see how much wheat you eat.
Right.
It's pretty dramatic change.
Right. And even in some of the preservatives in foods, and you find it everywhere. So you're right. Yeah.
They've never found someone who's gone gluten-free get less healthy.
Yeah. Right.
They change their diet radically.
Well, and there's so many people that have questions about it, whether they want to do it or not for allergy reasons. But just it's been such a hot topic. So I'm hoping she can answer all those questions that people have. But especially for those that have celiac disease. Yeah.
You bet. So we highlight that, but more as a example of the different things going on in the nutrition realm. Yeah. So what else? You have something going on with pig and pick and save, some dietary stuff. Go ahead.
Kind of like what I mentioned earlier, my role has really, or some of the goals that I've set over the last couple of years, this is my third year in community ed, are really to try to target some of the younger families, because I have a hard time getting them to come to some of the classes that we offer because of the timing. So one of the things I've worked on over the past year is really to try to partner up with places that they're already going. So one happens to be Piggly Wiggly. The grocery store just seemed to be a good fit. And so I'm there once a month. I am just really there as a resource, as someone to ask questions to. I'm usually in the produce department with a fruit and a vegetable, which happened to be our harvest of the month as well. So,
what is the harvest of the month?
Sure. The kids actually at school, we have a harvest of the month through our school lunch program. So what that means is each month there's a fruit and a vegetable that we focus on. So usually it's something new. For example, this month it's spinach and citrus, which is kind of opened up to blood oranges, tangerines, lemons, limes, etc. So the kids then have a chance to try that during school lunch at least once for a taste test, but then also on the menu throughout the month.
So you're working with the cafeteria?
Yes. Yep. I kind of feel that my goal too within this role is to kind of connect the dots between our community and our cafeteria / kitchen table, as well as our classroom. So making sure that everybody's kind of hearing the same message, and so that is one reason why they'll see it at lunch. They'll hopefully see it in the grocery store where I am. And then I also am available to help in classrooms. Just last week I did a vegetable unit with some second graders at Horizon. So we're hopefully learning about it as well in the cafeteria, classroom, and then out in the community. So it's all one message, hopefully. Yeah.
See, barricading off the cookie and pop aisle, the soda aisle.
Not yet, but no. What I'd like to do too is create more of a kiosk or an end unit at the grocery store that will have some healthy snack ideas for parents. So it's just kind of a one-stop shop.
It's a tough world for the parent.
It's very tough
because they've got a lot of marketing coming in telling them that Go-Gurt's a good food.
Right.
You know that's equal to a good yogurt or whatnot. That a fruit snack is equal to a piece of fruit.
Right.
And that's a tough world. They feel like it's quicker, but you have to educate them, right?
Exactly.
That an orange isn't hard to pack.
Right. Exactly.
Or an apple's made to eat.
Which, it really, today actually I was at Walgreens and ran into one of the parents of one of the children that I did the vegetable unit last week. One of the vegetables was jicama, which we all tried last month already. But that was part of the vegetable unit with the kids last week, and she even said her son came home and said, we tried a new vegetable and it ends with ma. And they figured it out, and she went and bought it and looked it up and made a recipe, which is awesome. So, the more that the kids
again, outside the box, outside the comfort zone.
Right.
And
try something different.
If you hit the young kids, that goes upstream, right? They take that
That's
home.
my thought. Yeah, that's my goal. I do want to hit them when they're young. I've always kind of said I'd love to create a new normal for them. Instead of the normal being a Go-Gurt and a fruit snack and a Lunchable necessarily, have it be where they see these things all the time that are healthy and easy, and that their parents have the information to make those choices as easily as they have to eat them, really.
So do you have recipes also?
I do. I just create recipes each month based on the harvest of the month, whatever it is, and those are online and on our website as well. I also then have them at the Pig for the community too. Yep.
Yeah, the online website is just wonderful.
It is.
I mean, you've got all of that information. I mean, you got course schedules and descriptions. So, and it's real well laid out. But, you're looking at that nutrition section, it just goes on and on and on. There's a ton of good information on there. The recipes, there's different information on the foods, and it talks about how proactive you are. And you're working with Pig and Pick and Save, so you're incorporating the local stores to be promoting this. And I think that's fabulous. I think it's an example of how integrated you can become within the community. And I think that's a great idea. I do.
Yeah. Thank you.
Anything we're missing in community ed that any of you want to talk about?
Well, as you bring up community, I do want to say my line that I like to say when people come to our office and they can't find people there. You can't have community in your title and be in this office all day. So really, it is, it's kind of a funny line, but yet at the same time, that's what we have to do.
Yeah.
Jess has to get out there. Clayton and Jess both go to Generations for Little Learners now and do activities with the young kids, fitness, Clayton's and nutrition opportunities for Jess. So,
well, you tie it all together well. I think this is the course listing for the winter of 2014. I think the courses vary from season to season, but it's phenomenal. It's a great listing, and it is. I think it behooves you to look at our community ed department. If you're not from our community, I really highly suggest you to boost your community in this direction, because I think it's hugely successful. You can see that they're, I think, taking care of themselves, and they're taking care of our community and giving them options from the cradle to the grave, both fitness, health, and wellness. And we appreciate you joining us tonight. We appreciate our guests. And until next time, we've got your back.